James Ryan and Jimmy Cupples. Welcome back to noise11.com with a different topic this time. It's not a King Canyon topic, it's a Led Zepp topic.
Yes, it is indeed. And it's good to see you, Paul. Always a pleasure.
Yes, looking well.
2024, on the road doing an amazing set list of songs, Led Zeppelin songs, the Unledded tour. But this isn't rock and roll Led Zeppelin, is it? This is more the acoustic side of Led Zeppelin that you'll be bringing to life on Australian stages.
It's a funny thing that Jimmy Page said after a few Led Zeppelin albums, I think when they brought out one that maybe had a bit more acoustic stuff on them, and then people said, oh, so there's the acoustic side of Zeppelin. And Jimmy Page said, we've always had acoustic on all the albums, lots of acoustic. It's just that people were like, oh, yeah, right, okay. So it was always there. But it's usually doesn't mean it's like acoustic unplugged style like most bands have done. So yeah, the songs are done a little bit differently, but there's still most of the time the huge drums are still there. We're going to have a string section. There's going to be some Middle Eastern players, so it's going to be still a big full sound. It's just that it's kind of leaning more on the, the more interesting stuff that they did, where they really went outside of the normal kind of rock and roll side of things. So it's still going to be plenty loud and dynamic and exciting. It's just that it's getting to play a bunch of the songs that most Led Zeppelin fans would never have had a chance to have seen live.
Even when they go and see a Led Zeppelin tribute show, they don't necessarily hear some of those great songs that were on the albums. It's always turn your amp up to 11, Black Dog and all that stuff,
Yeah.
So
well, that's right. So Black Dog, Whole Lot of Love, Rock and Roll, they're all the obvious songs when people go to see a Led Zeppelin band. But, when you listen to a Led Zeppelin album, there are a lot of levels to a Led Zeppelin album. On 3, for instance, where you're getting into songs like Tangerine, and on Led Zeppelin 4, Battle of Evermore. These weren't radio hits, but over decades, they've become the songs that, we've really gravitated to.
Yeah, you never hear anyone do those because, pretty much because they're a pain in the ass and difficult to get across. Like, they're not the sort of song you can go, hey, let's chuck Battle of Evermore in, guys. We'll do it at rehearsal.
It's not sort of something that you could just jam. You've really got to, sit down and work it out, because some of the, as you were saying today, some of the bars is 4 there, there's 5 there, there's 3
absolutely
there.
And then just different, whether it be different instruments, like using the mandolin, and then multiple guitar tunings. I've never had to have so many different guitar tunings ever. So
you actually have to have a specific guitar for a specific song then. So, you just can't launch into any song at a moment's notice. You've actually got to plan the set list.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's at least probably 3 songs that have pretty radically different tunings. I'll just go this.
Very tasty stuff. Yeah.
Good.
Very good stuff. So what does that do to your voice, Jimmy? I mean, when you're doing an entire set like that, that's really pushing it. And then you multiply that over the month and a bit that you'll be out doing this on the road. That's a lot of vocal exercising.
But I guess it's just good for me because it's a really good workout thing to do, and I'm kind of used to it because I started listening to Led Zeppelin when I was about 17 or 18 and tried to work my voice up to that kind of thing. So it's almost a natural place for me to sing. So I'm going to, in fact, the weirdest thing, and James mentioned it a few times, he said the more you sing, the higher you sing, the easier it seems to get for you to do lots of shows. So
he's wonderfully weird in that way.
A bit strange like that. But if
I don't, that he's like, oh yeah, it's a bit high, but it should be okay. Then we do gigs, and I'm like, you said you was a bit funny, and then you just hit the highest note you've ever sung. He's like, yeah, I don't know why I went so high.
Yeah. Did Robert Plant have an unusual range?
Well, I think so, because a lot of the time he was chest voice, which is an unusual thing for a man, and he could still sing quite low as well. Like in Going to California, there's a really low note in there that's quite tricky to hit, but he hits it in chest, and then he'll just soar up to these magnificent high notes that a lot of guys would call that a female range. So.
Sorry, I didn't. I never said that, did I?
Well, a lot of guys have to go into the falsetto to do it. So a lot of the times, they get girls to do things, and when guys do Led Zeppelin, they quite often they go into a falsetto sound, which changes the whole tonality of it, and it doesn't quite sound as good when it's like becomes the Bee Gees version of the Led Zeppelin.
Oh, don't say that.
You say that, but one of the most amazing covers I've ever heard of a Led Zeppelin song was when Heart did Rock and Roll. Anna Nancy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and they did that version of Stairway to Heaven too, with the big choir of vocals out the back. We're not going to go quite that far.
Quite not.
We've got 11 people on stage, and that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's when we were putting this together, in the excitement of the original idea, it was like, yeah, we can have this, and then, we'll need 2 of them. We can have 5 pieces. No, we can't. Look, and then we realised, okay, it's already 11 people on stage, plus a lighting designer, sound guy, stage. Oh, this is the biggest thing we've ever hit the road with. But that's the only way to make it sound and look the way it's going to.
Yeah, well, when we talk about the instruments that you've got coming in here, Alwan, the Middle Eastern trio that you've brought in to really recreate those sounds that were on some of those Led Zeppelin records.
Yeah, I mean, the main sort of inspiration for doing this was that No Quarter album that Page and Plant did, and sort of that tour they did for maybe a year or two around that, which is where they had the full Egyptian orchestra and an entire other orchestra in other gigs, and it was that infusion of their sounds and the addition of almost like stuff that they'd always wanted to have in some of these songs anyway, and just hearing their songs done in that style, even some of the rockier ones, but hearing these other flavors was like, oh man, now that would be something amazing for us as well as for fans of Zeppelin. And just, we've even had people, I've had some folks go, yeah, I'm not like that into Zeppelin, but I'd be interested to come and have a look at this, because it's not just Zeppelin doing Zeppelin songs. It's this much broader range of interesting sounds and songs.
And it was exciting. I mean, when Plant and Page were touring it, you could tell it was just so exciting for them, because before then there was no particular reason why they'd want to get together just to bash out the songs. Without John Bonham around, it was something that wasn't that sort of attractive for them. But when they put the Middle Eastern Quartet and the sounds and the strings together, it just becomes so exciting for it. It opened up this whole new world,
Yep.
Yeah.
So we can't wait to do it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Stairway to Heaven on the list. Is that a no-go for the show?
Well, look, we don't want to say, but no. There may be whispers of it in there, but honestly, like, the idea of doing this was pretty much like, well, I wouldn't go and do a show that had, 3 or 4 of those main Zeppelin songs in it, because just like, why am I going to go to the, all the effort and work to put a show together to do those songs? I mean, they're amazing cult classics, but I don't need to go out and do
and plus
gig.
what we're trying to do really is give Zeppelin, the real diehard Zeppelin fans something special that they're not going to get to hear. They can go and hear all that stuff with all the other guys turning up to 11 and just one level all night bashing it out,
Yeah.
But it is a fantastic song nevertheless, so
well, it was one of those songs that Robert Plant said he would never do outside Led Zeppelin, and then 2 weeks ago he did.
Just did it again.
Yeah.
What was that? That was some
for a charity. Yeah.
I heard the version of it. It was a beautiful version of it actually,
Mm.
and a completely different arrangement of it, but it was brilliant.
Yeah. Am I misreading the suggested songs when I don't see anything from Presence? I don't see anything from In Through the Outdoor.
You're probably right, but not because we went nothing off those albums or nothing off that. So half of the set literally came from that No Quarter album. So we looked at that and went, okay, anything that's on there that sounds great and that we're going to be able to, get across really well and that we think are the right songs, we'll take from there. And then the rest of the songs, the main priority was that they were like acoustic style songs. They don't have to be just acoustic guitar, but they had to be something acoustic about them, to fit in with what we were trying to do. So that was the only thing that we really looked at, and we put together a bunch of songs that were like, oh, okay, these have all got a bit of the acoustic influence in there, and we just went through, played around with some, and went yes, nah, yeah. So yeah, that's.
So when it comes to the show, there'll be some songs that we'll do just as kind of a Led Zeppelin format: drums, bass, guitar, and vocals, and then we'll be bringing back on the different guys to play different songs to build it and give it a nice light and shade, so.
What were you hoping to hear there, Paul? What was your...
No, I'm very, very happy with seeing what you're doing because, I've seen Platt and Page a number of times when they came to Australia, and I've seen Robert Plant every time he come to Australia. Never got to see Led Zeppelin, but, we have the live DVDs, so we do get to play it in the lounge room. But I'm particularly prone to the acoustic side of Led Zepp. So I'm liking things like Friends, things like That's the Way. And a track like Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? Now, that's a real rarity. I bet a lot of Led Zeppelin fans would be unfamiliar with that song because it wasn't on an album even, was it?
No, that's right. It was on
a compilation. It was on a compilation.
On a compilation.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a song that, funny enough, they didn't really play that much. But during the Plant Page years, they did actually perform it. And I remember thinking, oh, no, this is so refreshing because they never play that live, So that's one of the reasons why I suggested that one to you at one point. I said, right, let's do this because nobody does it. It's so good,
Friends was only done once on September 29, 1971 in Osaka, Japan.
There you go.
Right. And I'm guessing it didn't go very well. They went, oh, well, let's leave it at that once.
Yeah. And I wonder if Four Sticks has only been ever performed twice, both in 1971 and by the looks of things on the 3rd and 4th of May, 1971 on a European tour.
There you go. I mean, it's funny. That one's surprising a bit because, the whole point. It seems so obvious now, but I didn't even think when it was like Four Sticks. I didn't think about why. I don't know why it's called that. And then read a thing and they go, oh, it's because he played the drums with 4 sticks.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah, two sticks in each hand, like between the fingers. Yeah, and that's how it's played.
That's incredible.
And so I'm like, oh. Well, this makes sense, but it's kind of odd that they didn't do that one more often.
Yeah. Well, I haven't looked at the Plant and Page or the Robert Plant set list to see the solo years it may have turned into a song.
Plant and Page they did that a lot together. But in Zeppelin, they didn't necessarily play a lot of those songs.
All right, so we've got Led Zeppelin from February and March 2024, Unledded, more to the point, the music of Plant and Page. In the meantime, what is happening with King Canyon, and when is this album going to appear?
Step at a time in terms of just putting stuff out. Like, to be honest, the idea of doing an album thing at this point, we're just like, whatever, maybe at some point. We just need to get songs out.
Keep the momentum going.
Just the task of putting out an album, of preparing and undertaking that and having to come up with so many things and everyone being in agreement, all that stuff is just like, well, it sounds much more exciting than that is. And just the time that would take, we just want to get songs out. We recorded recently with Nick Dadia, and we tracked about sort of 6 or 7 songs, got most of them down, and got 2 or 3 songs that are kind of, just pretty much ready to go out. So we will have at least a new song coming out really soon, but even that it seems like people probably think, oh, you just, why don't you just get that song out? It's like, it's almost that easy, but not quite.
Yeah.
Because you have to get each little thing in place, and until you have even just graphics and things, like, you have to decide on bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're doing other stuff that we're doing as well, a week goes by, another week.
It can take a little time. Yeah.
And where are we up to with that? Did you decide when you're going to get that guy to draw the,
Yeah, that's right.
So we just want to get into a bit of a flow and a system of just being able to put a song out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, and not really worry about the album thing too much at this point.
Yeah. Well, to be continued then.
Yes, indeed. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, looking forward to Unledded 2024. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. No worries.
Thank you very much, Paul.